Hey, what's up you guys? My name's Teigan and welcome back to my channel. It's been a little while. So a couple things have happened. Quickly just to, I've moved like 3 times now, but I should be settled. I'm hoping I'm now settled and not going to move for a while, but you never know. But we're going to jump into today's video with a wrap up for July's TBR, which then became August's TBR. They shared a TBR for the first time. I got this really cool little notebook now to try and write down my thoughts after I finish a book, because I realised I was being really not wishy-washy, but just kind of sucky in my what I liked, what I didn't like about each kind of book. It was just, oh, I like this because it was fun or it was interesting, which is still very much what I wrote in there, but at least it might be a bit more interesting for you guys. But to kick it off straight up, because this video has been a long time coming, we'll start with Sandman. I have now read a few more of the comics, not as many as I'd like. I think I'm on comic number 5 now. When I first started these comics, I had no idea what to expect. I hadn't really read much. I've never read a Neil Gaiman book, and I haven't actually read that many comics. More definitely manga, and even then I kind of watch more anime rather than read it. But I am falling in love with this series. It's such an interesting story and I can't wait to see where it goes. I'd definitely say it's definitely more on the horror-ish side, like with some of the visuals, but it's such a, here you go, me saying it's a cool story, it's an interesting story. The Sandman kind of character is just very, I don't know him that much because I've only read like 5 comics so far, but I am really enjoying the story and what's happened to him and what's going to happen next. I don't know, but I want to find out very soon. So moving on to the next book, it will be A Cold Winds and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. This is the 3rd in the trilogy, or it's not a trilogy because she's coming out with a new book, and there's also the little novella. But I enjoyed this book. It's like, I think I just really enjoyed the characters in this kind of story. I know it's not for everybody, and I also very much know that this book isn't perfect in the way it's written. There's certain elements in the writing style that I particularly picked up on that I just wish was less used, specifically like the repetition of 3s. I can't think of an example, but it's just like saying and more and more and more kind of thing, which just got it was just too overused for my liking. But despite like the flaws of this book, it's still a really fun story for me, and I still really enjoyed reading it, and I will totally be reading the next book when it comes out. I really liked kind of seeing the progression of Feyre from like the first book to now, how much she just has changed. I enjoyed the continuation of like the characters and their backstories, and also the relationships and friendships. Yeah, so it's definitely a book that I just, while it's not fantastic, because it's fantastic to me because of how much I enjoyed it. Moving on. The Short Second Life of Britannia. I don't have much to say about this book. It is not bad, it's not good, it's just okay. There's nothing wrong with it in the sense of how the other books annoy me. It was just okay for what it was. I wouldn't read it again. I wouldn't really read any of the Twilight series again, but we'll get into that in a different video. So I suppose we'll continue with, it took me so long to finish Breaking Dawn. Not so much, but there's like elements in here that I think are really bad that I'll talk about in my Everything Wrong with Twilight Part 2 that will be coming out. But for like basically the end of the 2/3, I just found it so boring. And not to bash anyone who enjoys this series, I enjoyed it when I was younger. Not saying if an older person's enjoying it that you're just, I just got really bored with it, and I got really sick of the characters. I think everything that happened in the previous books that annoyed me with them, just, I wanted this book to end, and it took its sweet time in doing that. But I managed to get through it. It's the end of the month, so woo, we got there in the end. Next, we will talk about a book I loved, and that is Guards. So far with the Terry Pratchett books that I've been reading, I have really enjoyed, and the City Watch guys in this book are just fantastic. Vimes, it's so interesting from when I read Snuff to this book, the differences in the characters, and I can't wait to see how they progress in the next books that are coming. Carrot is funny, and you gotta love Errol. If you don't know who I'm talking about, I suggest you read this. I honestly the progression within this story was just really great. I didn't really get bored at any point, and I didn't even have that moment where with some of the Terry Pratchett books I find the start to be a bit slow, but I didn't have that with Guards. And I just love it. Dragons are cool. Moving on to And Then There Were None, which is my very first Agatha Christie and also kind of my very first mystery. And it was a good story. I can understand why people highly recommended it to me because it was great, but I was just wasn't 100% satisfied with the ending, which I don't know how other people feel. I don't know if will be a continuing thing with the more Agatha Christie I read, but I just very much found that the reason you couldn't solve the mystery yourself was because the reader was missing a piece of information. And I don't know if I entirely agreed with that. Also, I found this very interesting, well, not interesting, but I just found this discrepancy between the book and the audiobook, because I was listening to the audiobook as I was reading it, and it's on, for those who would like to have a little look. In the audiobook time, it's like 2 hours, 2 minutes and 8 seconds for page 89, and it kind of just misses out basically the bit of racism that is in this book, which I'm not saying it's bad for doing that, but it was just, I found a discrepancy, and I thought I'd share with you guys. So, just for you guys, it's basically, it's a character called Emily Brent and Vera are having a discussion, kind of talking about, someone's died and who did it. And they're kind of talking about people's motives. And Emily Brent says, I understand you now. Well, there's that Mr. Lombard. He admits to having abandoned 20 men into their deaths. Vera said they were only natives. And then, this is where it skips in the audio, but the bit it misses out saying, Emily Brent said sharply, black or white, they are our brothers. And Vera thought, our black brothers, our black brothers. Oh, I'm going to laugh. I'm hysterical. I'm not myself. Emily Brent continued thoughtfully, of course there are some other accusations. Of course some of the other... Why can't I say this bit? Of course some of the other accusations were very far-fetched and ridiculous. And then it continues with the part. But it's just basically the bit where Vera is being racist is got caught out or chopped out, and I just find it odd because Emily is being not racist, is sticking up for saying that they're not only natives, they are still people, they are still humans, and Vera's being racist, and that kind of just got left out, and it's an interesting thought, and I'd like to know what you guys think on them for the audiobook cutting that piece out, because I've noticed occasionally I don't know if it's mistakes, but some other books I read tend to have just like a couple lines missing in the audiobook. Let me know what you guys think about that. I still did enjoy the mystery. I just wish the reader could have guessed it. The next book I'm going to talk about is Skyward, and Brandon Sanderson did it again. I love this. I believe it's YA, like one of his YA books, and it's kind of one of the very few sci-fis that I've read. And I love it. Spencer as a main character is awesome. I love her personality. She's just a really fun character to follow. And, I just... Embot and their mushrooms, made me laugh. I enjoyed it so much. And I'm really excited for Starsight when that comes out. I need the next book of this. I need the sequel. I really enjoyed the kind of growth you see from the main characters in this book as well, from their starting point to the end point, and the journey at which it takes to get there. I think it's just very well planned out. Please give me Starsight as soon as possible when it releases. Thank you. Third book in the Lunar Chronicles, Cress. I got to say, I'm enjoying this series so much more than I thought I would. I like how it's not the fairy tales in which each of these books originate from make an appearance in a sense, but it's not a retelling of that fairy tale, if you get what I'm saying. It is, but it isn't. And I like how minimal it is to the fairy tale. The fairy tale's there, I'm not saying it's not, but I just like how it's the story elements of the fairy tale in a completely different setting. And I loved Cress. Seeing the usual gang about interacting, I've enjoyed, and I think Cress is a fantastic addition to that team. I can't wait to see what Winter says, what Winter gives me. And I love these editions of the books. I bought like the whole set, and it has like this little bit that gets shown. I don't understand why. It's just, I think it's cool. And then it's got like ship schematics in it. It's cool. I like it. I want to read the next book. I did question how the story was going to progress from like the first book into the second, and then the second to the... I think I'm also I wonder how it's then going to progress again, but it's not disappointing me at the moment. I'm not expecting it to disappoint me, but you know, with some series, they just kind of get worse as they get along, and this book is not that. And I'm excited. I need more, please. Roll around September. Hunger Games: Catching Fire. I don't have much to say about this. It's still very much following the movies. So I think the movies so far have been a very good depiction of the books. You obviously get like a bit more detail in certain areas, but as it stands, I think it's been really spot on. And I'm really curious on what happens in the third book, because from my general understanding, people hate the third book, and I found like the movie wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. So I just don't know if again the book's just going to be like the whole it's not great but it's not bad, or it's going to be a complete train wreck. I don't know, but I still enjoyed reading The Hunger Games. It's as expected. I enjoyed the Hunger Game films, so I enjoyed the books. Let's see how the third one goes. I finally finished, after how many months of this being on my TBR now? I think it was in June's as well. Eye of the World. It took me a while to get through this, and I will say I think part of it is due to the very slow beginning, in my opinion. But once I kind of got past that beginning, like you need it to get an idea and sense of the characters. But after you got past that beginning bit and it got into the main story, that is when it hooked me, and I kept reading it any moment that I could. I was walking to the gym, or if I was cleaning around the house, I just had the audiobook in to listen to, and then I'd sit down with the book. And I'm very curious as to what happens in the world to make it go on for like 14 books, 15 if you include the prequel that I haven't read yet. You know, I am just wondering and excited and looking forward to the next book in the series. That's what I'm trying to say. So I'm decided, and I think I might have said this in a different video, I'm not sure. Each month I'm trying to have only one author per book, and I'm allowing myself like one reread, whether that's a particular book or a series. And right now I'm going through the Magic Thief series, and this is the third book. And I forgot how this book kind of continued the story. And it is just, I think if you like Harry Potter, you will like this series. It's a younger YA / upper middle grade. I'm not too sure what age middle grade is. But it is a fun, quick read, honestly. I really enjoyed how in this book you get a bit more of a sense on the kind of how the magic system, whether that's the right word for it, I'm not sure, but how the magic works in this book, you get more of an idea, which I completely forgot about until I reread it. And yeah, I just think for a younger audience aimed book, it's really good. Whether that's also because I have like great childhood memories reading this, or, you know, I love Con and the little gang. I think it's great as well, how the family, the quote unquote family for Con is an interesting one. I never really clicked. I wasn't until I was kind of reading some other reviews on Goodread that I was saying, like, I saw someone saying like how it kind of subverts the normal family idea, where you have basically, it's not a spoiler. If you care, skip like 30 seconds, because I'm just gonna say. So basically, Nervery is like the dad. Bennett, who is this hulking great mass of a dude, which is Nervery's bodyguard, is the mum, and then you got, you know, Sketchy Con, who's the, not sketchy, but, you know, he's a thief, cum wizard, magic thief. It's in the title, guys. But anyway, yeah, just tangent there. I love this book, and I want more people to read it and tell me if they like it. The final book I read, and I finished today, and it's the 31st, so hopefully I will edit this video and get it out before the end of today. But the final book that I read this month was the second book in the Six of Crows series. I know it's the Grisha universe, and Bardago is coming out with a third book, which I'm really excited to get. But it is Crooked Kingdom, and I enjoyed this not so much more than the first book. But I did enjoy this more than the first book. I think it was because, I don't know whether it's because I enjoyed this book more than the first book, and whether that's because you already know the characters, so it gets into the action a lot more quicker, or gets into action quicker, or gets into the action quicker, or it's just a better book. I'm not sure. I think my only criticism of this book, like, I'm gonna give it like 4.5 stars. I wish Goodreads would add a feature where you can add a half star, because it's really annoying. It's frustrating. Goodreads, please sort it out. Just add an option to be able to put halves. But ran over. Crooked Kingdom, I wish it had more consequences for what occurred. There are consequences in this book, but for what was accomplished over the first book and this book, I feel like there should have been more consequences than the ones that occurred. That's not spoiling, I don't think. I hold these characters dear, actually, to my heart now. And I don't know if it's like the same with the normal editions, but I just love how in the special editions you can just get a quote that you're just like, what do you mean by that? The first one is, no funerals, no mourners, no funerals, oh my god. One of the main catchphrases of the book. And then this one was, you know, when you can't beat the odds, change the game. When you read the book, that makes sense. Before you read the book, it doesn't make sense. And I like that. I mean, I still love the aesthetics of these books. You know, it was a great story. I really enjoyed it. I wish, yeah, apart from the stakes, there's nothing more I would add to change this book. I'm looking forward to the third one. I hope they they come out with the collector's edition soon, because I don't want to buy a mismatched book for this series. And I don't want to wait a huge amount of time to not be able to read the third book when it comes out. Whenever it's coming out. I don't think there's a date. That is kind of it for my TBR. No, my wrap up. My wrap up for July/August. And now that I have my place sorted, I've also bought some lights, because I kept trying to record at night when I have really awful lighting. And if I kind of just show you guys, without my lights it's awful. The lights make it work. So, you know, I have a proper place to record now. And yeah, I will be recording, you will see the same clothes for the next like 2 videos, because I'm going to record it all today. But anyway, this is my wrap up. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in my next video. What have you been reading since I've been away? It's been a while. What books are you reading? Do you have any recommendations? I'd love to hear them in the comments below. Check out my social media. I'm not I'm not very good at keeping up with it, but it's just, now that I'm back, I'm hoping to get better. I'm quite good at updating my Goodreads though, so add me on that if you want to keep up with my actual, as I'm reading stuff. With that being said, I hope you guys are doing great, you know, stay safe, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye.